Hey, so I just want to do a demo on the install for your OneReplicas Super Stunt Luke saber. So this is installed with a Proffie v3.9 with a removable chassis. So up here I redid the blade plug, basically removed the old polycarbonate, put it into a new polycarbonate blade stock over there, and then sanded it down so it fits nicely. Down here I also installed the D-ring, so basically just cut down the middle of it, widened out, and then compressed it back in to get that D-ring fit in place. So this install does have a removable chassis, and to access that, just unscrew the pommel, revealing your chassis as well as your 28mm bass speaker. So the way this chassis works is that there's a kind of a locking mechanism with screws under the control box. So once the chassis is kind of locked in place, you can't remove it. So to unlock the chassis, just rotate it counterclockwise, and then it'll slide right out. So here's your chassis in glitter silver. We got our Proffie v3.9 there. I have it at an angle of 20 degrees. That way you can actually access the USB port without needing an angled adapter, as well as easier access to the SD card. You're still going to need tweezer to access it, but at least it's not kind of like blocked by the chassis. Up here there's a chassis connector, a 4-rail for the NeoPixel connection with blade detection setup. I also added some brass rods there, just for some little extra detailing. And then along the chassis, for some of the greeblies, I went over it with gold rub and buff, just to get those details to pop a little bit. Back here is where the 10 pixel accent strip is, and that's hidden behind a cover on top of it. So originally I wanted a transparent cover that didn't print out too well, and so I went with a glitter silver, and because of how thin that cover is, it's still able to shine through that pretty nicely. Down here we have our two switches. So the top right now is the main switch, and the bottom is the auxiliary switch. We have the kill switch down here, as well as two green Edison filament strips. One there, and one there, and then a speaker. So to remove the battery, you can just grip it by the positive end, compress it a bit, and it slides right out. So there's your battery holder, marked positive there, and negative there. There's also some detailing in there as well. When you're inserting the battery, make sure you insert it negative first, because my chassis does have a little groove there. Some people call it a cradle, but basically it makes it it basically gives the battery holder a better grip on the battery without it disconnecting whenever you have a sharp jolt on it. So to insert it, make sure you insert it negative first to kind of get it into that cradle, compress it, and then slide it into the positive end like so. And then once that's ready, just flip the kill switch on. So marked on there and off there in Aurebesh.
I can't kill my own father.
So the style I have there right now is that it's kind of like a battery indicator hidden underneath that cover. And then these Edison filaments light up when you turn the saber on. So these Edison filaments are kind of bright. Currently it's at about 10% brightness according to the config, and it's still pretty bright. So just something to be careful of. So to insert the chassis in, you'll notice that there's a groove there, and that groove goes along there towards the two buttons, as well as two little notches there. That's basically where those screws that hold the control box in place kind of guides the chassis into. So when you're inserting the chassis in place, make sure that the control box is facing down, because there are printed plungers in there that need to be loose. They kind of need to be like loose in their slot. That way it doesn't get caught when you insert the chassis in. So when inserting the chassis, make sure the hilt's facing down, shake it a little bit to loosen those plungers, and make sure that the groove, that guide, lines up with the control box as you're inserting in. So rotating a bit to find that groove, should be about there. Slide it all the way in until it hits the speaker holder. And then if the plungers are loose, just rotate it clockwise. Now let's just check that the plungers are in place.
Are you a Jedi?
Yep. So let's put the pommel in. So according to the config, there's twist on, as well as twist off. And we also have an illuminated NeoPixel connector in there. So let me just show that. Your blade retention screw should be pretty much lined up with the control box over there. So loosen that. Remove the blade plug. So blade plug is pretty much redone with the new polycarbonate stock that I had to sand down with the sanding drum. Got our illuminated NeoPixel connector in there. This is the one that I designed. It's got a kind of a wing pattern to it. So let's insert a blade in here. So the way this NeoPixel connector is set up is that there's an extra pin for blade detection, which I did configure. So let me make sure that's loose. Let me make sure that's loose a little bit more. So with the blade detection, when you insert the blade and the pins make contact, it makes a sound. And then when it disconnects, it makes another sound. So let's get that in there and tighten the blade down. Smooth swings, action swings, got flash on flash, and blaster blocks. You also have twist off configured as well as twist on. So with the fonts loaded on there, it's what you've provided along with the config. All I added to the config is the orientation of the Proffie, as well as the styling for the LED strip, as well as the 2 Edison filaments.
Commander Skywalker, do you copy?
Lord Vader. Darth Revan.
It's just Ben.
Obi-Wan. Just a simple wanderer. The dark sword. Final steps. Darth Maul. Traitor! Young Emperor Yogoto.
Portal.
So with some of the fonts, I did find that there are like missing tracks in them. I think Empress is one of them, as well as like Jurassic maybe. So you may want to take a look at that.
On directory not found.
Also, there's this one, which I believe is just the battery preset. So make sure you add that back to the SD card if you want to keep that style.
I am a Jedi.
So there you go. There's your OneReplicas Super Stunt Luke installed with Proffie v3.9 removal chassis. I'm going to be including the config on the SD card as well as sending it over to you. That way you can kind of get a head start on configuring it if you want to take a look at that. But if not, I'll send this demo over to you as well as the pictures and get this shipped out to you as soon as possible. Thank you.